Do you guys see how the Zionists reshaped the international order with the genocide in Gaza? You guys see how all the possibilities and options that just opened up for the United States empire after what Israel allowed the international community to accept? Does that make sense? Israel opened the floodgates, and that was by design. That's why they wanted to destroy the previous international order that was binding their hands. But Sarah, do you have any reaction to this?
No, that's exactly right. It was a lot of incrementalism and kind of seeing what they could get us to accept, and it's so far past the mark that it even needed to be at this point. So people aren't really even batting an eye at bombing ships in the middle of the ocean with no due process. It's very strange. It's very bizarre.
I'm not too judgmental towards Gustavo Petro. He just wasn't necessarily aligned with me. I wasn't super excited because like he still like repeat like U.S. empire talking points on some things, and he was one of the people that was manufacturing consent against the Venezuelan election. He was one of those people who was saying that Maduro has an authoritarian government. So he went from that to uncritically, unapologetically defending Venezuela, which is a good thing. I'm not going to be hypercritical. He's not my leader. I'm not going to be hypercritical, but it is good to see that he's finally speaking up on this. So I'll play this clip, and Sarah, I'll get your input if you want to chime in. Now, if you haven't been following, he's essentially calling out the obvious lies that the Trump administration is fighting this war over drugs. That's essentially what he's doing. They want to take the reason why they invaded Venezuela, really, it's an excuse to take the oil, which Donald Trump said. You guys feel like he said that. He said that we need to go to Venezuela and take the oil. And people pretend this is about democracy. Let me divide and conquer, my friends. Sarah, do you have anything you want to add? Any thoughts?
Well, the issue here is that they do have a strong fascist right wing, and their elections are coming up. Lula and the president of Chile are all up for elections, and those elections will be heavily interfered with by the United States. So
yeah, Bolivia has already fallen. Like it's you always had that capitalist retaliation, which is why some people argue that you need to be much more Leninist in your style of reorientating your government after you take over. And Gustavo Petro, like I said, I'm not too negative on this guy. He's not my leader.
Yeah, I don't love him.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not, but he's a social democrat, guys. He is not prepared, and social democrats generally are not prepared to handle the capitalist retaliation. Whenever revolutions and whenever governments take the Leninist model and making it impossible for the capitalist class to retaliate by completely suppressing capitalist interests, those are the ones that you see Western social democrats demean as authoritarian, right? Here is Donald Trump, who is not happy with Gustavo Petro, and he's essentially declaring economic war against Colombia, the same way that the United States policy has been to have election interference in Venezuela because sanctions is an act of election interference. You have Donald Trump that's actively interfering in an election that you just described, Sarah, because by increasing tariffs by 100%, like he announced, he's waging this economic war. He is trying to coerce their population to vote against Gustavo Petro. And that's why economic warfare, you can't say you can even have a fair election because of economic warfare, which is why it's always absurd when they say Maria Corina Machado support free and fair elections. You don't support free and fair elections if you support sanctions because you're trying to change the outcome and how people perceive the current government. So here's Trump calling Petro a thug. And now he's referring to him as a narco-terrorist. And it's a very bleak trend where Donald Trump can convince many Americans to support illegal war simply by saying that they're a narco-terrorist leader. Like that's all it takes now for him to get 1/3 of the country on his side. Let me play this clip and Sarah, you can chime in afterwards.
In a recent interview said that if you won't change, he thinks that
Sorry, this clip is a little bit quiet. I think it is. But let's try to get through it.
recent interview said that if you won't change, he thinks that people should get rid of you.
We're talking about now Colombia, the country, not the university.
Yes.
Go ahead. He said what?
He said that if you won't change, then perhaps you need to be gotten rid of. Do you view that as a threat?
Well, he's a thug and bad guy. He's a guy that is making a lot of drugs. We've just, as of today, stopped all payments going to Colombia, the country Colombia. Also, the school Colombia. No, we settled. We made a settlement with him. But no, he's a thug, and he's a bad guy, and he's hurt his country very badly. They're doing very poorly, Colombia. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They grow all sorts of crap that's drugs, bad drugs coming into the United States, goes generally through Mexico. And he better watch it or we'll take very serious action against him and his country.
Bro, what?
His country is, what he has led his country into is a death trap.
So he's going to take action? Do you guys see how the Zionists reshaped the international order with the genocide in Gaza? You guys see how all the possibilities and options that just opened up for the United States empire after what Israel allowed the international community to accept? Does that make sense? Israel opened the floodgates, and that was by design. That's why they wanted to destroy the previous international order that was binding their hands. But Sarah, do you have any reaction to this?
No, that's exactly right. It was a lot of incrementalism and kind of seeing what they could get us to accept. And it's so far past the mark that it even needed to be at this point. So people aren't really even batting an eye at bombing ships in the middle of the ocean with no due process. It's very strange. It's very bizarre.
You guys see how Israel darkened humanity for generations to come?
Yeah,
because go ahead, Sarah.
Exactly. How can one have a problem with the other? It's like you know what I mean? Like you can't have a problem with anything that Hamas is doing inside of Gaza if you behave. It's like it's just all crazy. It's all, I don't know, man. But this is a bad place. This is a bad place to be because there's really not any recourse and there's nobody coming to save us.
It's sick, man. Because they're like, oh, who cares about a boat? Have you seen Israel bomb a hospital?
Right.
What's a boat compared to a hospital? You guys see how they numbed us? And I said this in the beginning of the genocide, that this will be the long-term consequences, that we will regress as a species. We will regress. And that's exactly what happened. But sorry, Sarah.
You're right. I've alluded to the same sort of ideas, is that, you know, once there's no turning back, once you're desensitized to things like this, and also the eradication and the subversion of what was left of international law, all of that is gone. So it was by design.
They hit another boat today. I can't show the video because I'm pretty sure that will get us immediately pulled because it's someone literally dying. Like, our government just murdering people? So I thank God I saved the stream last second when I scrolled up because it's literally a video of someone fucking dying. And that's what our government is doing. I also want to get to this story. I want to hard pivot since we're talking about the collapse of international norms and laws, which you can, and there are many populations like in Cambodia and Vietnam and Korea and Sudan and the Congo. I understand, guys. I know I sound like a fucking shitlib American sometimes. I know that these international laws haven't applied to many people forever. Like I understand that. People to my left, they always snipe me like, Nick, don't you know the international law was never? Yeah, you got me. That's true. But it's mask off like we never seen before. Like they're not even pretending that they have to even follow stuff like the ICC, international courts anymore. And it's been zero coverage of this. It's been complete crickets as we see Israeli Palestinian hostages held by Israel come back because of the hostage release, and there's been massive signs of torture, the likes we have never seen before. Like we have seen, like I'll just read this tweet here. Israel released 135 blindfolded and handcuffed corpses of Palestinians it tortured to death last week. Israel is torturing Palestinians to death. We covered this many times on the show. The sexual assaults they use, the fact they use electrocution, they use starvation as a form of torture. They engage in sexual. They do all this horrific stuff, and no one in the corporate media covers this. Like, they do stuff that's easily as bad as the Nazis, worse than the Nazis. And you have the Israeli population who's cheering it on. And then you have autopsies of Palestinian martyrs that reveal that Israel was stealing their organs. They were committing evil on top of evil to the point where humanity don't even flinch on things that would have devastated us 15 years ago. And the reason I'm covering it, this is the intro to our next segment about how the Western corporate media is completely complicit with Donald Trump, Israel completely breaking the ceasefire. They're still, to this day, lying about this. If you look at Zionist accounts, I mean, like both Democrats and Republicans, you see there are a lot of even like liberal accounts that say, why aren't the pro-Palestinian people happy right now, Sarah? Why aren't they happy? They are ignoring the fact that Israel violated ceasefire multiple times. Ben Gvir himself said, "What ceasefire?"
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We about to fuck y'all up now because of this. Sarah, do you want to chime in? I'll just do a quick presentation. What's your reaction to the ceasefire? Do you have any hope for it in the beginning?
I tried. I did, because I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be labeled like, "Oh, you're a Trump hater." So I said, "All right, I think this is a huge Trump win." I mean, in all reality, the ceasefire held for 41 minutes. So. But I guess it didn't count as broken until Friday or something. I don't know. But the ceasefire only held for 41 minutes. So.
And the Western media is still pretending that, well, it's actually worse. They not only pretend that this ceasefire is still holding, they're now blaming Hamas and saying that Hamas violated the ceasefire. There was Israelis that were planting explosives, and IDF members ran over their own explosives. Mm-hmm. They killed the IDF goofballs, and then they immediately slaughtered around 40 Palestinians in retaliation of Israel bombing themselves. Crickets from the Western media. Gaza authorities say that the Israeli army has committed 47 violations of ceasefire. This is a few days ago. I grabbed this on October 18th, so this is actually way worse now. This is as of 4 days ago. 47 violation of the ceasefire, killing 38 people and wounding another 143. And not only is this ceasefire fake as fuck, Sarah, and this is what I didn't even cover it. You guys know that I didn't do no breaking live stream. I didn't cover the ceasefire at all because I'm like, bro, this is not newsworthy to me at all. The only newsworthy thing is that Hamas lost their last leverage by giving up the hostages that they have. That was the biggest newsworthy thing that happened because Ben Gvir was like, thanks, man. Now we're going to continue. And now we have the Knesset that voted to seize the West Bank. You have the Israeli terrorists that are killing and assaulting, torturing Palestinians to death in the West Bank. But no, sorry, this is the point I was about to bring up. Not only is this ceasefire fake, Trump and Keir Starmer was able to move the Overton window to the right. So we covered how there was secretly UK and U.S. Marine occupation in Gaza. They couldn't do it out in the open. It's a lot of evidence that it actually was on the ground. But they went from, oh, man, we're not going to occupy Gaza to, oh, we have to occupy Gaza, Sarah, to make sure the ceasefire upholds. Look, we're the troops in Gaza now, Sarah. You guys see what Donald Trump and Keir Starmer got accomplished? And there's reporting of U.S. Marines also on the ground to uphold the peace and the ceasefire. They got their occupation of Gaza, fam. This is what this is all about. Sarah, any reaction? Yeah, you can see my audience is smart as fuck. We know that, and this is what I mentioned earlier. We know that they was there before, but you guys see how they open about it. It's official.
Yeah, it's official. It's a completely different ballgame. And also they're setting up the CMCC, Civilian Military Coordination Center, and that's going to be the brain of this whole thing. And if you go and watch yesterday's announcements, when Vance, Kushner, and Witkoff were speaking while in Israel, they tell you a lot about kind of what the plan is. JD Vance says that basically, like, it doesn't really, it doesn't count when a ceasefire is broken. Really, that doesn't mean that the ceasefire is over. Basically, and then Jared was talked about in the investments, and then they talked about the CMCC, and they said that the CMCC will be a model upon which future conflicts will be resolved. And I thought that was so funny because I was told no new wars, but we're already getting this really interesting conglomeration of private public partnership in the form of these CMCCs, civilian military communication centers. And if you've noticed recently, they say that a large chunk of their military budget will be coming from the private sector.
Yes,
and there you go.
Great breakdown as always, Sarah. Here is Donald Trump. And this is what you just referenced. So JD Vance and Donald Trump is approving of Israel violating the ceasefire. They are openly saying they're not going to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. JD Vance, and they troll people. They're trolling the American people. They said they're not interested in babysitting Israel. That's the excuse that JD Vance is using. JD Vance says he's not in Israel to babysit Gaza ceasefire. That's the whole point of a ceasefire. It's to babysit and make sure that either side is not violating it. But now that Israel is openly violating the ceasefire, they're like, oh, come on, man. We're not babysitters. Israel is on. We can't do anything about it. What are you talking about, man? It's the Zionist regime and their handlers exist not only to scale humanity back, but to dumb humanity down. They want humanity to be this dumb, to just accept these talking points. And Trump was directly asked about Israel violating the ceasefire. He's like, yeah, that wasn't never my intention.
What's your reaction to Israel strikes on Gaza today?
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening. We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. You know, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
What's your reaction?
So there's no peace. There's no peace. And I said it before, and I still have this take. I won't blame the Palestinian resistance if they needed a break, because it's on us now. But to me, it was very annoying when I saw people pretend this was going to lead to peace in Gaza. Just say that you guys need a break, that the Palestinians need a break. But the people selling this as a victory, and I've seen many people on the left do this. Like, you realize that's toxic positivity when you do that, right? It's not good to always be an optimist. And there's a certain point where it crosses into toxic positivity where it does more harm than good. That's the entirety of the Bernie Sanders movement, by the way. We're smiling, Zara, Mamdani socialists. There's nothing wrong here. Nothing to be angry about. That's toxic positivity. So I will never blame the resistance for needing a break, for needing a timeout. But don't pretend it's peace, because it was clear it was never peace. Do you agree, Sarah? What's your thoughts?
I do agree. But it also they've been doing this with kind of all of the conflicts. If they can at least get it to be quiet for like a few days to a week or even a few months, that counts as a peace plan, as a peace negotiated. So technically, in this, they're already tallying it up as a W for Trump, and it's like anything that happens from here on out is obviously not Trump's fault. Trump tried. And now it's the fault of whomever, most likely Hamas, who breaks the ceasefire, according to the United States. So it's kind of frustrating. I feel like it's just so disingenuous.